here we have gathered.
Here we have gathered, gathered side by side, to serve the affection, come and step inside. May all who seek here find a kindly word. May all who seek here feel they have been heard. Sing now together, is our heart's own song. Here we have gathered, called to celebrate days of our lifetime, gather small and great. We all ages, women, children, fed, infants and stages, sharing what we can. Sing now together, is our heart's own song. Life has its battles, sorrows and regrets, but in the shadows, let us not forget. We who now gather know each other's pain. Kindness can heal us as we give, we gain. Sing now to friendship, is our heart's own song.
Good morning. Welcome to this Sunday service of the Eno River Unitarian Universalist Fellowship located in Durham, North Carolina. I'm Connie Pearcy, a member of ERUUF and the new chair of our board of directors. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, whatever your race, gender identity, whomever you love, and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, we welcome you. My thanks to our tech team who helped create this morning's service and to all of you for joining us this morning. If you're visiting with us for the first or second time, I invite you to rise or wave your hand or introduce yourself in chat if you're watching the live stream so that we may give you all an ERUUF welcome. Thank you for choosing to spend your Sunday with us. If you have children or youth, religious exploration classes are underway in the Care building, and you may head there at any time. After the service, please join us for coffee and conversation in the fellowship hall. The Odyssey speaker for next Sunday at 9 a.m. is Dom Grimes-Medlin. Now would be a good time to turn off any devices you may have on your person. Let us take a moment to center ourselves. Let our service begin.
I am open and I am willing, but to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go
come together today seeking a reality beyond our narrow selves that binds us as a community of faith in compassion, love, and understanding. We light our chalice to celebrate our Unitarian Universalist heritage and to reaffirm our commitment to live into its future. Today, we're going to be sharing the worship service held June 25th at the Unitarian Universalist General Assembly, the largest gathering of UUs joining in worship. This year, over 4,000 UUs came together in Pittsburgh and online to conduct the business of the association, explore the theological underpinnings of our faith, and lean fully into our mission and principles. In addition to business sessions, General Assembly offers workshops, lectures, and worship opportunities over 5 days. This year was offered as a multi-platform assembly, which allowed for both in-person and virtual attendance. ERUUF members are able to attend the General Assembly, and every year we credential voting delegates who can represent ERUUF on the various business decisions. This year, 14 ERUUFians attended as delegates, our full slate. ERUUF delegates and our Denominational Affairs Committee will be hosting a discussion in August to report on General Assembly, share next steps regarding Article 2, and discuss opportunities for interested members to engage with the denomination. At our annual meeting in May, we approved a new ERUUF 2023-2025 strategic plan. One of the 5 goals of this plan is to strengthen, deepen, and expand our relationship between ERUUF and the larger UU denomination. In the words of our new UUA president, Reverend Dr. Sophia Bedencourt, Unitarian Universalism has a vital, liberating message for our time. Our nation and denomination are experiencing challenges in a time of significant division, change, and radicalization. But together, I know we can serve one another, organize for justice, widen the circle of concern, collectively imagine new ways forward in community, and grow spiritually. I'm looking forward to the continued work of radical inclusion, faithful witness, and the embrace of a wide range of voices and leaders for our faith. I encourage all members to attend the Delegate Forum in August, and I'm looking forward to working with you to expand our relationship with the larger UU denomination. Let us now enjoy this service.
I am open.
An excerpt from Mental Fight by Ben Okri. Might we choose to make this time a waking up event, a moment of world empowerment, to pledge in private to be more aware, more playful, more tolerant, and more fair, more responsible, more wild, more loving, awake to our unsuspected powers, more amazing. We rise or fall by the choices we make. It all depends on the road we take. And the choice and the road each depend on the light that we have, the light that we bend, on the light that we use.
Oh, my heart longs to know, how do any of us stay willing? How do we stay true to what we know, to what we value, and our commitment to be the people our wider world needs? The call to stay ready and willing to tackle whatever challenges may arise is such an essential quality for us as people of faith. And yet, that call often runs up against unexpected obstacles and losses. We can feel like we're on a road, on a journey, and we're no longer even sure where we're going. 15 years ago, I was much newer in my career as a Unitarian Universalist minister. And I'd just been in a congregational search process that had not gone my way. Smitten with the congregation I was in dialogue with, I was convinced that this ministry was exactly right for me. However, I was not the candidate the congregation ultimately selected and called as their minister. I was devastated. What I thought was going to happen, what I believed was exactly right for me, exactly what I needed, didn't happen. I was shaken by this loss. I did not feel ready and willing for whatever was going to come next. And yet, Holly Near reminds us, to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who have gone before us, so lift me up to the light of change. I knew that I needed to find my way back to open-heartedness, to a willingness to meet what life was giving me. I decided to go on a personal retreat so I could process my experience. The desert is a deeply spiritual and healing space for me, and southern Utah is a place that I have gone to again and again for such grounding and healing. There, I did this very Hindu thing that I wasn't even consciously aware I was doing. In traditional Hinduism, when personal needs are great, we often go to remote temples, ones that are often situated at the top of a mountain, for example. Such spiritual pilgrimages can include an arduous journey to the summit, to the temple, where we then pour our hearts out in anguish and prayer. Something about the physical journey itself allows for catharsis. At Zion National Park, I found the steepest, hardest climb, in this case, up the side of a plateau, and I began climbing it. The journey up that plateau that day was challenging, one of the hardest hikes I've done. But something in me knew I needed to do this, and so I pushed myself to reach the top. Once there, I was completely alone. I sat down, exhausted, and I wept. The grief wailed out of me with only the red rock cliffs to witness and receive my pain. I cried out my disappointment. I cried for the loss of possibility, of a possible future. Just as those tears started to settle, a new round of grief seized me. Something deeper still was lurking. This pain was even greater. Underneath the ego bruising of not getting the job I wanted, I just felt so lonely. I hadn't even been aware of how lonely I was. But this deeper pain began to surface. I became conscious of it, and as I did, I began to pray through my tears. Okay, universe, so there's more learning and growing I need to do. I get that, but amidst all this hard stuff I need to figure out, is it too much to hope for companionship? Is it too much to hope for closeness and intimacy, for the love of someone who could support me on this journey? Offered in solitude to all of nature, to the sky, to the red rocks, to the earth. The prayer I didn't even know I was holding just emerged. Amidst all that was hard, all that was challenging, amidst loss and disappointment, I didn't really need the job that wasn't mine to have. What I needed to stay open and willing, as Holly Near invites us, was love and support. Similar to my experience, the pandemic has pushed us all into experiences of things that were supposed to be and were not, or are not. In that there is grief and loss. Some of our Unitarian Universalist congregations are also experiencing pandemic-era losses and changes, losses in membership, losses in the attendance of children and teens, budgetary uncertainty, staffing cuts, and reconfigurations. If your congregation has been navigating currents such as these, you are not alone. You are not alone. How do we Unitarian Universalists remain open and willing to shine the light of our love, of our faith, in the midst of ongoing experiences of change, loss, and uncertainty? How do we do that as UUs? Our transcendentalist forebear, Theodore Parker, offers us this wisdom in a sermon from 1841, The Transient and Permanent in Christianity. Quote, "If we look carelessly on the ages that have gone by, or only on the surface of things, there is reason to fear. For we confound, we confuse, the truth with the word of man. So at a distance the cloud and the mountain seem the same." How do we distinguish between the wispy cloud, fleeting and ephemeral, and the heft and solidity of a mountain that can hold us and anchor us? On top of that desert plateau, the deeper thing that my heart ached for was love and support. Isn't this what we Unitarian Universalists are all about? Caring, which is love, which is the impulse behind all the justice and equity work that we do, and support, which we bring alive through relationship, through community. These are essential Unitarian Universalist commitments, UU values that have grounded us and guided us for centuries longer than our relatively newer statement of UU principles. Our UU history illustrates these values. When our intellectual forebearer, Spaniard Michael Servetus, was burned at the stake in Geneva for heresy in 1553, he died because he cared about freedom of conscience within community. He could have privately believed whatever he wanted to believe, yet he died because some part of him longed to have his unique and independent thinking honored by others in community. When Transylvanian Unitarian minister Francis David helped articulate the first Western edict of religious tolerance in 1568, It was the impulse of love brought alive, a desire to nurture mutuality, relationship, and acceptance across difference. When Henry David Thoreau sat in jail in Concord, Massachusetts in 1846 for refusing to pay taxes to a government that legitimized slavery and war, it was a love of our shared humanity that fueled his longing for equity and peace. 19th century Unitarian suffragist Susan B. Anthony marched, organized, and politicked because she valued gender equality, and an expression of that was the right for women to vote in the United States. And in the early 20th century, Unitarian Frances Ellen Watkins Harper helped co-found the NAACP as an institutional expression of a value that remains core to us as Unitarian Universalists through this day, the value of racial equity. This anchoring in deep, heartfelt values and anchoring in love and community remains our Unitarian Universalist calling card. It is the ground of being from which we have been contemporary national leaders in justice-seeking movements such as those supporting reproductive justice, marriage equality, migrant rights, and trans equality, to name just a few. Reflected in these commitments are our passion for, our collective commitment to the dignity and unique experience of every person, people who are already among us, people who are dear to us, people who we know in community. All we have to do is look at our shared history over centuries as Unitarians, as Universalists, as Unitarian Universalists. We were not waiting on the sidelines for someone to invent a statement of UU principles in the 1960s. Drawing on our core values, we UUs have engaged with the arc of history for as long as we have existed. It is an arc not just of history, but one of forging, one of creating, one of building the history our hearts and souls have longed for. Pauline invites us to honor those who have gone before us, our UU forebears. We honor them by honoring the values that their lives illumined. For not doing so, to be adrift or lost amidst the needs of the world, to be hopeless would be so strange. Our reading this morning by Nigerian poet Ben Okri also invites us to ponder whether the time we are in might be a waking up event, a waking up to who we really are, to the light, to the fire, the flame within us. That light, that flame is given life week after week in our Unitarian Universalist congregations. This is where our values are made tangible at the local level, in community. I have one last story to share about a former congregant of mine. Her name is Debbie. I'm sharing her story, our story, with her permission. Over a decade ago, Debbie attended a Unitarian Universalist congregation for the very first time. Sunday services in that community included a time during which congregants could share their joys and sorrows, a brief sharing of personal celebrations or hardships in front of the community. Debbie chose that Sunday to publicly share with a room full of strangers that she had lost her job, that she had a special needs teenage daughter, and that she was on the verge of homelessness. With tears in her eyes, she told us that she had turned to every resource and local agency that she could think of, and while help was coming, she didn't know where lunch or dinner were going to come from later that day. As she wept and sat back down, she asked the community to hold her and her daughter in their hearts. To be hopeless would seem so strange. Yet how does one stay open and willing when you don't know where your next meal is coming from? Following the Sunday service, Debbie stayed for the congregation's coffee hour. I watched from a distance as congregant after congregant came up to her, offered her kindness, moral support, and in some cases, money. Over and over again, community members made sure Debbie and her daughter had what they needed for that day and for the days ahead. I could see how moved Debbie was by this, these spontaneous expressions of love, caring, and generosity left me feeling so proud to be a Unitarian Universalist minister that day. I followed up with Debbie in the week ahead and was able to offer financial support more officially from the congregation's ministerial discretionary fund. And what happened next was a beautiful thing to behold. In the months and in the years that followed, Debbie and her daughter joined that Unitarian Universalist community. Her daughter became a volunteer in the congregation's nursery, taking care of the community's babies and toddlers. Debbie found a job and enrolled in an academic program to become a clinical psychologist, a goal which she achieved. She specialized in supporting the mental health of gay, lesbian, bi, queer, and trans people. Debbie went on to establish her own independent clinical practice, and that practice has now become a training site for future clinical psychologists. In a recent conversation, Debbie shared with me that on that fateful Sunday, the first time she was ever in one of our communities, she says, quote, "Unitarian Universalism saved my life." And truly, it's done more than that. It has empowered Debbie in returning the care and support that was offered to her back out to the world many times over. We never really truly know what the future holds, do we? But we can allow the anxiety that accompanies uncertainty to be a catalyst, to be a waking up event, an event in which we remember and ground ourselves in who we truly are, in what our deepest commitments are. We are a people devoted to religious liberty, to justice, equity, and individual and collective healing and growth. We are a people of courage. We Unitarian Universalists are a people who have always been open and willing to rise up and meet the needs of the times we are in. For to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who have gone before us. And so we lift ourselves up to the light of change. The world may buffet us with uncertainty, yes, with pandemics, climate devastation, civic and social strife, and on the list is long, and we know it. Yet grounded in the strength of our bonds with one another, there are no challenges, no obstacles that will keep us from shining our Unitarian Universalist flame, the light of our love, from the highest mountains, announcing to all that we are here, waiting to welcome others, you who may need us, you who may be longing for us, you who may never even have heard of us before today. Our love for one another and for the wider world is the beacon that has always guided this band of beloveds in the mighty and improbable work of bending the very arc of history. Remember how often we as a movement have succeeded in doing just that. Don't forget who you are. Don't forget who we are collectively. Trust the goodness, the light inside you. That is how we become the people our world needs us to be. We are open, we are willing. May it always be so.
Wow. We weave the fabric of beloved community as we draw our circle wider and commit ourselves to offering what we can through our time, talent, and treasure, given as we cultivate hearts of generosity towards our mission, vision, and our work in the world. As the greeters come forward to pass the plates, if you do not have cash or checks on hand, we invite you to use the card in the pews by pointing your device to the QR code or go to eruf.org on your device and hit the Give Now button. Follow the instructions from there. If you need assistance with this, you can receive help in the office directly after the service. We will continue now with our offertory. For the gifts given, we give thanks. And thank you, Wendy, as always, for your music, even from afar in GA. We will conclude our service with closing words back from General Assembly.
May I invite you to rise and body your spirit as you're comfortably able and willing. Oh, beloveds, those of us gathered here in Pittsburgh, take just a moment and gaze around this space that we have sanctified and made our own. This circle of beloveds that help bring alive the flame of Unitarian Universalism day in, day out. Those of you online and around the world, you are part of this circle and held in that love and in that flame deeply and well. We know the future holds more uncertainties than our hearts can at times bear. And yet we also know we can trust the depth and resilience of this circle. Its grounding in love, its courage, the proven fact that we have been ones to help shape and bend the arc of history in service to that love, in service to justice and inclusion and compassion. This is who we are. Go forth as you prepare to go forth from this General Assembly. Go forth knowing that wherever you may reside, keep bringing that flame alive deeply and well. And they are literally hundreds of thousands of Unitarian Universalists cheering you on as you do that. None of us is alone. We have each other. May it always be so. Blessed be. Go in love. Amen.
As we are willing to change and be changed, we acknowledge the hurt and harm of our past and move toward the world we wish to create. We move freely and fully in our different ways as we journey together. Please feel free to rise and body your spirit and join me in singing.
Woke up this morning.
Let's go. I woke up this morning.
Well, I woke up this morning with the mind stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind was stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning, my mind was a stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
I was walking and talking.
Walking and talking, my mind was a stayed on freedom. Walking and talking, my mind was stayed on freedom. Walking and talking, my mind was a stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
I was singing and praying.
Singing and praying, my mind was a stayed on freedom. Singing and praying, my mind was stayed on freedom. Singing and praying, my mind was a stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
I'm on my way.
I'm on my way.